Where do I even begin with Sutton and her charming behavior toward Dorit? Watching the after show only makes it worse. I'm about ready to lose it. Seriously, how did she interrupt Dorit, who's talking about her child, just to ask if they were divorced? Because, PK never around. And the best part, Sutton doesn't even regret it. What a gem. And don't even get me started on how they all laughed and rolled their eyes when Dorit tried to speak. Apparently, being long-winded is a crime now. I've never heard Dorit say something completely out of left field or confusing, unless I'm missing something. Am I the only one who feels like they're trying to rewrite the narrative here? Anyway, Sutton still sucks, and I'm honestly starting to lose some respect for Garcelle too. When you grow up with a narcissist and marry one, I guess you just feel entitled to hijack conversations whenever you get impatient. More importantly, you might also lack basic empathy, something Sutton seems to be excelling at. What's even worse, Garcelle seems to be cool with her nasty, mean behavior. It's honestly so obvious. These women are just jealous of Dorit. They love seeing her fall because they're probably bitter about her looks. It's petty, but it's true. Women can be catty, and these women are no exception. Sure, Dorit rambles sometimes. Who doesn't? But Sutton's interruption was just her way of being passive-aggressive and saying, "I told you so," while dismissing the entire topic like it was no big deal. Newsflash, Sutton. We all knew the kids would find out. They're on Instagram, for crying out loud. Classic Southern passive-aggressiveness and classic Sutton. A lot of what she says comes down to poor timing and delivery. Yeah, they needed to hit the road soon. But could she have waited until Dorit finished talking before making that announcement? And don't even ask me about her behavior after Dorit's robbery. I can't defend that mess. But let's not forget, Dorit's been giving Sutton a hard time since day one, and it's all because of their high school clique mentality, classic herd behavior. Oh, where do I even begin with Dorit in these after-show interviews? I just marathoned episodes 1 through 5, and let me tell you, every time Dorit opens her mouth, it's like she's bathing in the glow of her own smugness. Especially when it comes to Sutton. She's practically celebrating the fact that she thinks Sutton's brain is, well, non-existent. She's not intelligent enough to plot against me. As if Dorit's master plan for the season is anything but a string of designer labels and over-the-top dramatics. Honestly, Boz seems almost visibly annoyed, throwing out helpless glances like, "Can someone please rescue me from this?" The way Dorit spells things out, ugh, it's cringy. I half expect Boz to shout, "I need to get out of here any second." Now, I get that PK and Kyle distancing themselves from her once they got sober isn't exactly a shining moment for either of them. I don't blame Dorit for being pissed about Kyle's betrayal and PK treating her like trash. Yeah, that sucked. But here's the thing. Dorit is so extra and elitist that she basically exudes the kind of energy that makes you want to reach for a glass of wine just to survive her. It's like she's trying to dress herself in high fashion to cover up the fact that there's nothing meaningful or real going on beneath the surface. Her style? Totally over the top, but it's like a walking ad for labels. Newsflash, Dorit. Anyone can wear a logo head to toe. That doesn't make you stylish, it just makes you look like a walking billboard. Real fashion. That's about having your own eye for mixing things up in a way that feels natural, not forced. Dorit has clearly never met a person she didn't try to impress with a $5,000 handbag. And you know what? I can relate. When I got sober, I had to ditch about 50% of my friends because, surprise, a lot of people are impossible to be around when you're sober. So, cheers to me 14 years next month, baby. But back to Dorit. She's lucky to have Boz sticking by her right now because Boz is getting a very different side of Dorit. One without any real history or context to cloud her judgment. As a housewife? Yeah, I'm not feeling it. She's great on paper, I guess, but she's too image-obsessed to ever really let her guard down or get messy. That's not good TV. It's just smoke and mirrors. Look at what she said to Garcelle. She's suddenly this big mouth now, when we all know she was mute around Erika. She pretended to be LVP bestie, and now she's just trying to keep her seat at the table. The whole thing reeks of desperation to keep that paycheck coming. And let's talk about Sutton for a second. Why is she always the target on this show? She's damned if she does, damned if she doesn't. Dorit's throwing a fit about feeling abandoned by Kyle, but when Sutton tries to offer solid advice, she's the villain? Make it make sense. Honestly, I thought this season would be better, but Dorit is draining me. And the real problem with BH isn't just her. It's the whole cycle where one housewife, looking at you, Lisa R. and Erika, turns into the aggressor, and the rest of the cast just sits there, wide-eyed and speechless. That's not good TV. It's boring. And it's so predictable. If I wanted a therapy session, I'd call my therapist, not watch Dorit scream at everyone except PK. I usually stick up for Sutton, but this episode is really making it hard to defend her. She's coming off like the queen bee of the Mean Girls this season. First off, the way she's talking to Boz, and the way she's going off about Boz and Dorit's friendship, is seriously rubbing me the wrong way. Boz can use whatever words she wants to describe what she saw. Honestly, why is Sutton offended by weaponize? I can't even wrap my head around why that would be an insult. Instead of getting defensive, maybe she should reflect on the fact that someone pointed that out to her as a way to help her understand that while she may have wanted to support Dorit, telling her you're angry at your life didn't really come across that way. But of course, Sutton seems more concerned about the word choice than actually looking at her own actions. And then there's the whole thing about Sutton caring how much time Boz has spent on Dorit's relationship. Hello, jealousy much? Why is she even bringing that up? It sounds like she's a little too obsessed with who's closer to Dorit than she is. But what really gets me is how Sutton keeps inserting herself into every conversation about Dorit's divorce. I get it, she's been through a divorce, congratulations, but that doesn't automatically make her the expert on what everyone else should do. Why is she screaming at Dorit like that? We aren't friends. Forget it like, excuse me, what is even happening here? Honestly, this episode has me so over her. She's showing her true colors, and they're not pretty. The look in her eyes at dinner? Creepy. It was like she was staring right into your soul, but not in a good way. And don't even get me started on her and Kyle, both acting like total idiots. I'm over it. They can get bent. She's just inserting herself into every single conversation, making sure she's always the center of attention. It's like she's a camera-hogging machine, desperate to stay in the spotlight. I can't even respect her anymore. I lost all my respect when she had to run off stage because she was scared of Kathy Hilton. Like, seriously, that was beyond cowardly. I've been complaining about her all season long, and at this point, I'm just done. She's dragging the whole show down with her. And let's not forget her weird obsession with the word weaponize, which, hello, anyone else getting crystal violation flashbacks? She's so fixated on how her actions are perceived instead of how they actually make other people feel. I usually like Sutton because she's a little harmless and goofy, but this whole thing with language... Yet now, I'm starting to see Erika's point about her caring more about appearances than actual actions. And that's just not a good look. Erika's scenes this season, a snooze fest. Seriously, they've been pretty dull. Remember when she was the center of attention with all that drama? Now, not so much. If she left, I think it would shake things up a bit, kind of like when Robin left RHOBH. Thoughts? Her storyline this season is basically the saga of decorating her house. Riveting, right? Honestly, they might as well have given her the friend of role. It seems like she's intentionally keeping a low profile, probably to clean up her image. I bet she'll lay low for another season before she dives back into the chaos. Honestly, if they keep her around, they should just make her a friend. I've never seen so many before, and after shots of wallpaper and furniture. It's like they think we're all dying to see her place get a makeover. And on the last episode, Well, there was a lot of that. But I'll give Erika credit. The whole "I'm gonna eat an annual hot dog" thing is hilarious. Also, the way she sucks on a straw and tilts her head during confessionals. It's so extra, but in a funny way. Honestly, it's cracking me up this season. Her straight talk with Dorit was a moment, though. She's really embracing that friend role, and I'm here for it. There will be a time when she can shine again, but this isn't it. I do wish she'd stand up to Kyle more, but it seems like she's in her not-so-sassy era. And can we please let her hang out with Jennifer Tilly without Sutton interrupting everything? What's the deal with Sutton being so lovable? I'm honestly kind of nervous posting this because, let's be real, Sutton has a cult following, and I'm just over here like, why? I've been a fan of RHOBH for ages, and Sutton is one of my least favorite people on the show. It's not even because of her ongoing feud with Garcelle against the rest of the group. I'm no fan of Kyle or Erika either. Garcelle's a queen and Crystal. Well, that's a whole other level of annoyance. I don't hate Sutton, she seems like a decent person at heart, but seriously, she grinds my gears. This season, though, she's been extra off. Not just the arguments with the tag team, but her overall behavior is weird. I want to call her sensitive, but sometimes it feels like she's just, well, odd. Like when she reacted to Dorit's robbery and acted all bizarre with Diana after her stillbirth. That was uncomfortable to watch. She gets called out, and it's like a toddler throwing a tantrum, making it all about herself. Suddenly, we're supposed to understand her weird comments because, surprise, she's had miscarriages and her father shot himself. Sure, but that doesn't automatically excuse her. I mean, yeah, she's shared her father's story before, but the way she handled Kyle's confrontation and the whole Diana situation, just strange. So, I'm genuinely curious, why does everyone adore her so much? Am I missing something here? It's not about her being lovable, but maybe she's just the least crazy compared to the others. At least she can have an actual conversation, apologize when she needs to, and deal with petty comments like an adult. The other women, they're serving nothing but bad vibes. I actually like Sutton and Garcelle because they act like real people, something that's rare with this crew. Everyone keeps saying it's just a show, but these are their real behaviors we're watching. Sutton, she's like the quirky, offbeat friend who marches to the beat of her own harmonica. Her opinions and reactions might be weird sometimes, but hey, I like weird people. She's been bullied a lot this season, and that has to be stressful. But when she's not under attack, when she can just be herself, that's when I really appreciate her. Sutton's discomfort around guns has been a thing for a while, and if you go back to season 11, there's the footage to prove it. I was rewatching that season when Sutton visits Erika at her Pretty Mess clubhouse, because of course, that's what it's called. As they chat, Sutton can't help but notice all the weird gun props Erika has lying around. She lets out a nervous laugh and says, "Oh, you have lots of guns," which felt like a very real, genuine reaction. That moment totally ties into Sutton's explanation in season 12 about how she can't with the guns. So yeah, it makes sense now. It wasn't just a random thing. It's been there all along. And speaking of apologies, Dorit really needed to apologize to Sutton, and Sutton graciously accepted. Kyle, on the other hand, can go ahead and take a seat because this isn't her moment. Honestly, Sutton's reactions are completely normal given her circumstances, which, let's face it, are far from normal. Criticizing her for being uncomfortable isn't fair, especially when people are literally drowning in their own fraud scandals and can't handle the spotlight. Sutton's just out here trying to survive the chaos. I'm honestly glad that people here seem to like Sutton. I mean, I love her too. Sure, she's made some questionable choices, but if I were her friend, I'd find her awkward comments hilarious, not offensive. There's something so endearing about her. She's sweet, a little clueless about social cues, but I wouldn't change a thing. She's the quirky, weird friend we all secretly love. What exactly does Sutton want from Kyle? Watching that dinner scene, it became painfully obvious that Sutton has nothing to actually accuse Kyle of. Kyle straight up says her marriage has been rough. She posted about their separation online, and she's not hiding a thing. So what's Sutton's deal? Kyle is literally talking about what's happening in her life. She's being as open as she wants to be. Can someone explain what Sutton is even trying to say? All right, let me take a swing at this. Sutton's finally caught on to Kyle's game of making someone the villain every season, you know, the unhinged, liar, mean one, all to deflect attention from her own life. Sutton knows she's the target this season, and probably last season too. She tried to be vulnerable with Kyle, even giving her a bit of grace to act like a normal human being, but instead of support, she got mocked. So, Sutton snapped, calling out Kyle for hiding the truth about what's really going on in her personal life. Honestly, that dinner was embarrassingly weak by housewife standards. I'm used to confrontations that are direct and messy, but that was just flat until Garcelle finally called it out with, "Your marriage." She was the only one who actually got to the point. Are the others scared of Kyle, or are they just blindly backing her up? Probably both. Remember, this was filmed before Kyle officially announced the separation, so those headlines hadn't dropped yet. Sutton was just saying, okay, if you're going to accuse me of things and trying to hold me accountable, let's shine a light on your own mess. She's basically calling for Kyle to own her own stuff and maybe feel a little embarrassed the way Kyle's made her feel. At this point, Kyle hadn't publicly said anything about separating. Sutton knows they're pretty much split, just still living together, but Kyle hadn't admitted it. She's only mentioned to Dorit that she's had a rough year and is pissed Dorit asked her about it on camera because she wants to keep it private. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 14, Episode 6, Weekly Episode Discussion. Love is definitely in the air for Boz and her shiny new boyfriend. Meanwhile, Dorit and PK are clearly just trying to survive the romantic chaos. Classic. Let's talk about Erika being honored by Glaude at the Viper Room, you know, the one once owned by Johnny Depp, whom I, of course, made out with. Like, who wouldn't want that little tidbit in their bio? Truly, this sentence is so cursed it might be the most tragic thing said on the entire show. Okay, small thing, but did anyone else catch Erika's change of story about leaving Tom? Initially, she said she planned it all out. She waited until Tom left for work, had the movers come in, and casually packed up her life like it was just another Tuesday. But now suddenly it was this spontaneous, frantic escape in the middle of the night, like she was fleeing from a villain in a bad Lifetime movie. Interesting plot twist. And Erika, I just don't get her. She has these rare moments where she actually seems sane, dare I say, likable, but then turns around and is a total jerk. Like, Larchmont Village is way more expensive than that grifted Pasadena house you were living in. Yeah, I said it. Kyle, on the other hand, is just something. Her after-show explanations, wild. At this point, I'm not even sure she believes the things coming out of her own mouth. And Erika, though, she's sitting there, humming and nodding along, clearly disagreeing, but way too terrified to say anything. I can't blame her for staying neutral, but it's kind of embarrassing how hard she's working to stay on Kyle's good side.